Alright guys, Troy Francis here. So welcome to another video. I'm in Mexico City. I'm in a rooftop bar. There's a massive political demo going on behind me in the square because the elections are coming up. Whatever, hopefully the audio's okay. Anyway, I wanted to talk a bit about addiction today and how it pertains to dating and dating women and so on and so forth. And the reason this is at the top of my mind is because somebody mentioned it, I think in one of the WhatsApp groups I'm on, or maybe it was on a comment thread or something like that, and they were basically saying that pursuing women or pursuing an abundant dating life is akin to an addiction, in the sense that if you're addicted to, say, alcohol, that's not alcohol, but still, or drugs, or shopping, or any other kind of behavior really, then what you're looking to do really is to change your state, okay? We talk about, in England, we have this expression, I'm gonna get out of my head, okay? And that means I'm gonna take a load of drugs, I'm gonna get drunk or whatever, I'm gonna literally, figuratively get out of my head. I'm gonna change my state, I'm gonna feel something different to what I'm feeling now. And I think I was making a point about that in some shape or form, and then somebody came back and said, well, yeah, fine, but isn't dating doing the same thing? Isn't dating women doing the same thing? And the answer is yes, it kind of is. But there's a huge caveat to this, okay? So I think that in the current age, people, and by that people, that means men and women, like there's no differentiation here really, people use other people and they use dating as a form of distraction, okay? They use it as a way to get out of their head, all right? They use the dopamine rush that they get when they engage with a new person, when they get attention from a new person, when they have sex with a new person. They use that as a way to stop themselves feeling for a moment like themselves. Now, this is a subject that's quite close to my heart because I've had my own addiction issues throughout my life, okay, and primarily with alcohol, also to some extent with drugs, and other behaviors as well, including, you could argue, the dating stuff, but also travel. I think travel could be hugely addictive. It is literally going to a different place to change how you feel, okay? Shopping, buying stuff you don't really need, all of these things. And I have been, and can be, very compulsive around all of these different things. All of these different things really operate in the same way. They give us some sort of momentary pause. They give us some sort of respite for a brief period of time from whatever it is, the demons that are inside us, okay? And I was talking to my girlfriend about this actually. She loves to shop. And it's exactly the same thing. You know, sometimes she'll buy things, and they'll turn up and she won't even take the tags off and she'll send them back, okay? Now, again, you know, why is she doing that? Well, there's a dopamine hit involved, right? You know, you get the new thing, you see the thing online, you're like, wow, that thing looks amazing, that dress, that suit, that shirt, it looks amazing. If only I had that thing, it would make me whole, it would make me feel different. I wouldn't be feeling the unhappiness, the inner emptiness that I feel currently if I had that one thing. I probably felt the same way when I bought this jacket. Maybe I felt the same way when I bought this t-shirt, I don't know. I mean, when I bought this iPhone, you know, I was excited to get the new iPhone 15 Pro, because partly I've got the excuse of professional reasons, right? Because I use it to make videos and take photos. But I thought, oh, this is going to be amazing. I was really excited about getting this thing, and I got it. And you know, no disrespect to Apple, but the camera's great. The camera's a lot better. It's good for videos and stuff. But aside from that, pretty much the same as my previous one, which was really old. So, momentarily, when I took it out of the box, I got it, I charged it up, I put all my stuff onto it, you know, all of the data from the old phone onto it. I was like, yeah, this is great, this is amazing. And then the feeling goes away and you're back to square one and you need something else, okay? So then you think, oh, right, maybe I'll buy that new suit, maybe I'll buy that new TV, maybe I'll buy that new computer, or whatever it is, right? I'll buy that new watch, okay? I'll buy that new pair of sunglasses, anything. And all of this is us struggling to escape from the reality of our humanity, okay? And yes, when we think about dating, when we think about the way that people interact, particularly today, particularly now, when we've got all of these apps, and we're literally just swiping through people. Maybe we message somebody, maybe we match with somebody, we like somebody and then they match. We match, right? Dopamine hit, okay? Then you send them a message, then they respond. Bang, another dopamine hit, great. You arrange a date, dopamine hit, wow, this is amazing. Maybe you guys end up getting intimate. Again, huge dopamine hit, right? Transmitted through sex, through physical intimacy, okay? And then the next day, when you're sitting at home with your deer in your hands, that feeling starts to dissipate, you know? And you think, well, what was it all really about? What was it all really worth? Has it really fundamentally changed the realities of my life? No, it hasn't. I've still got to put up with my head, okay? We exist in our own consciousness, right? We exist primarily in our own heads. Yes, there's external stuff going around here. If somebody comes up now and shoots me, then obviously that's going to affect me. That's an external thing that I can't do anything about, right? But largely, my perception of reality, my perception of the world, and yours too, is through your own brain. It's through the filter of your own mind. And frequently, we don't like sitting with ourselves, okay? James Tusk always quotes Blaise Pascal, who said, and I'm going to butcher it now, but something like, all of man's problems are created by his inability to sit in a room on his own, okay? I am extremely bad at sitting in a room on my own and not doing anything and just being with myself, all right? I'm better at it now, a little bit, but why did I spend over a decade drinking and using narcotic substances, right? Why did I spend a lot of my life engaged in relationships that maybe I shouldn't have been in? Why do I spend a lot of my time, looking at clothes, buying new clothes, going on trips, doing all this shit, right? That doesn't ultimately make me happy. Why do I do it? It's because I'm trying to quiet the voices in my head. I'm not talking about crazy, creepy voices like that. I'm just talking about, the noise in one's head. We want to, for a period of time, get away from being ourselves. I think that's the clearest way of putting it. Why else do you think people get drunk? Why else do you think people smoke weed? Why do you think people take drugs? Because it gives you release for a period of time from the terrible pressure of being a human being alive on this planet, all right? Violence, acts of violence, maybe, could come under that category as well, okay? It's anything so that we can feel something other than the terrible reality of our own existence, okay? However, and this is the big differentiation, I think, that comes into play, there are certain things that we just need, all right? So now you could argue the toss about whether we actually need sex or not, and physically, to stay alive, we don't need it, as far as I know. I don't think you could die of not having sex. I mean, there'd be plenty of people on the internet who would have perished if that was the case. So you don't actually need it. But physical and human connection, human intimacy is a very, very important thing to us. If you think about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, okay, it's very, very important to us. So it's something that, yes, okay, maybe you're not going to die if you don't get it, but realistically, we need it. And more broadly than that, it's not just about sex. It's like about human acceptance. It's about being part of a community. It's about having other people. Touch is very important to us as well, okay? So, and the same thing could be said for eating, okay? Because a lot of people have issues with eating. I mean, I God knows I have an issue with sugar. I like my Achilles heel really is, I was saying to my girl about this the other day, it's not really, carbs I can kind of forego, and I've really sort of dialed in my carbs over the last 6 to 8 months or so. But sugar, overtly sugary stuff, I just find incredibly Moorish. I find it incredibly difficult to say no to a chocolate bar, or if somebody puts a chocolate biscuit in front of me or whatever, right? I find it incredibly hard to say no to that, okay? So, from my point of view, I should avoid sugar, of course, but the fact is that we also need food, and we do need food to survive. So, you can't say, right, so with alcohol, for example, people go into Alcoholics Anonymous or they go into a rehab 12-step recovery program and they say, right, I'm just not going to drink alcohol ever again, one day at a time. I'm going to put down alcohol because every time I drink alcohol, it creates a craving in me, and that craving then makes me want to drink more and more, and then I get into trouble. So the solution, or a solution that's been devised in the 12-step recovery programs, and has worked for millions of people, and it's the same thing with drugs as well, is just not to pick up that first drink or not to pick up that first drug. Because that way, if you don't do the first line of cocaine, you're not going to do the 11th, and then you're not going to be, wherever you end up after that, some crazy party situation, or owing your dealer hundreds of pounds or thousands of pounds, whatever, right? So you can have abstinence to certain things, and alcohol and drugs are two things that you can have abstinence without. You can exist without them. There are certain grey areas with drugs, there are sort of medicines and things like this, but putting that to one side, if we're talking about the classic, the drugs that we all know, the narcotics such as cocaine, heroin, blood, MDMA, whatever, you don't need any of that shit, right? You can live your entire life without taking any of that stuff, and you'll be absolutely fine. The same is true of alcohol. However, we do need to drink some liquid. We need to drink water, for example, to survive, and we also need to eat food. So when it's something like food, and I would argue that relationships and even sex comes under the same category, it's not realistically something that we're going to cut out entirely, okay? Because it is something that actually, in order to live a happy and fulfilled life, we do need on some level. The issue then is not about doing it. It's not about saying, okay, well, I'm never going to date anybody again because it's this compulsive thing, and I'm doing it in order to distract myself. Because if you say that, then where is the place for any kind of loving relationship, right? Where is the place? I mean, the whole of our civilization really starts to come undone in a sense, doesn't it? Because then you're saying, well, just live on your own forever and don't engage with other people, because if I was to engage with somebody else, and certainly to engage romantically with somebody else, that would be a way that I would be escaping from myself, and I shouldn't escape from myself, because that's a bad thing. I don't think that's realistic. I don't think that's desirable. I don't think that's the way you should be going. However, what I do think is that all of us, myself included, although I'm with my girlfriend now, so it's a bit different, but all of us need to look at our habits around dating and kind of think, okay, well, really, why am I doing this? Okay, why do I find it necessary to rack up this number of lovers? Why do I find it necessary to always, every morning as soon as I wake up, go onto the dating app and check out who's like me or who's matched with me or whatever? Why is that the case? All right, is it because I genuinely need that amount of attention? Or is it because I am escaping from some parts of myself? And then, really, and the solution to all of this, right, is not the external stuff. It's not buying the clothes. It's not buying the cars. Jesus. It's not getting into the pointless relationships. It's not doing any of this shit. The solution is an internal solution, okay? The solution, I'm afraid to say it, is spiritual, all right? We are not whole inside, okay? In recovery, they talk about a God-shaped hole. All right, and I don't want to get too religious about it. It's not a religious thing, but it's like there is, and particularly in modern times, there's a lack of spiritual wholeness to us, and that is the thing that needs to be addressed. And this is why people get into meditation. This is why people get into more spiritual practices and so on and so forth, because that really is the answer. The answer isn't all of the cheap dopamine-fueled bollocks that the rest of us do all the time. It's not going to fancy restaurants. It's not going to places with neon signs. It's not, having sex with random people. It's not buying the latest piece of tech equipment. It's none of this bollocks, okay? It is the spiritual. It's an inside job. All right? Again, this is a quote from AA. That's where we need to direct our attention. However, of course, as I say, the reality is, we also need human connection. We also need love in our lives. We need sex. We need romance, all that kind of stuff. I don't think it's realistic to say we can do without those things. So, boringly, the answer, of course, is that balance is key. I don't blame anybody who's watching this. You're a young guy, you're stacked full of testosterone, you're running around, you're having a great time. I don't blame you for that. I was like that myself. It's absolutely fine to be like that, but we do need to take a step back, and we do need to think about what it is inside us, what the lack inside us is that is compelling us to do those things, okay? Because the problem, and I'll leave you with this, the problem with the solution to the emptiness inside of just, okay, I'm gonna go out and meet these other girls, and we're gonna have these dates, we're gonna have sex, and that's gonna make me feel better. The problem with that as a solution is that it doesn't fucking work. Because all that happens is that, you wake up the next day, you date for a while, then you split, and you're still left on your own. You're still left with the same feelings that you had before you did that, before you engaged. It doesn't ultimately solve the problem at all. It might be great for a short period of time, but it doesn't solve the problem. It doesn't give you the answer that you were looking for, all right? And so that's why with all of these things, we need to be circumspect, and we really need to evaluate our behavior. This is where journaling, I think, can be very valuable, because if you journal this stuff, you write down honestly just to yourself, how am I feeling? Why am I doing the things that I'm doing? How do I feel about the things that I'm doing? Okay, is it helping me or not? Doing that is really going to help you to see very clearly the impact that your decisions and your actions are having on your psyche, and I think that's a very good way forward for all of us. Anyway, with that being said, I hope you liked the video, I hope you got something from it. Give me a comment below, let me know what you think. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't done so already, give me a like, and also if you want to talk to me about any of this stuff or how to get better in dating generally, drop me an email, troy@realtroyfrancis.com, and include your WhatsApp details and we'll get on the call. See you guys again very soon, bye-bye.